ready to entertain you once again with another thrilling audiobook. Today, we dive into what if Naruto was an overpowered sadist superhero, a gripping one-shot that's sure to leave you on the edge of your seat. Before we jump in, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button to show your support. Also, be sure to check the description for more details and to support the brilliant author behind this breathtaking masterpiece. Now, without further ado, let's begin.
8-year-old Naruto blinked as the older man slowly led him into White Room. At the end was a room made of bulletproof glass. He's in there, and he wants you to pick him up. Naruto nodded as he walked forward, only to stop and turn to the man who hadn't moved an inch. "Oh, I can't go in there," the man said with a chuckle. "I don't think he likes me that much." Naruto nodded before he walked into the room. As soon as the glass door opened, the naked blonde baby on the floor started crying. Its eyes glowed an inhuman red before red beams shot out of them. They impacted the roof of the room before bouncing off the glass and hitting Naruto right in the face. The blonde winced at the slight sting. A normal human would have been cut down by that, but he was not normal. He slowly walked over to the baby and picked it up, noting that it was a boy, its brilliant blue eyes looking up at him. "Hey, little brother," Naruto said as the baby looked him in the eyes. "My name is..." Naruto was promptly blasted in the face. "You're funny." Naruto giggled. The baby seemed to look at him for a moment before it burst out laughing. All the while, its heat vision blasted Naruto in the face non-stop, 10 years later. "All right, kid, let's see if you can catch this one." Naruto grinned as he tossed a metal baseball to the sky. The thing was thrown so hard it left a shockwave. "Oh, you better catch it before it reaches the moon." "I got this." His 10-year-old brother grinned before he took off, breaking the sound barrier as he did. The older teen just smiled as watched his brother go. His smile widened into a grin when the ball was thrown back, not with as much force as he had thrown, but enough to shatter the sound barrier. Naruto raised his hand and caught the ball. When the ball impacted his palm, it sent a powerful shockwave that uprooted every single tree in the area and shattered the windows of the facility behind Naruto. "Look at you, I actually felt that one sting." Naruto grinned as rubbed his hand. Truth be told, it did do much, but he loved seeing his brother smile. "Yes." John, Naruto's brother, cheered as he floated down. Again. All right, this time I want you to catch it point blank," Naruto said as he stretched his arm. "Naruto, please return to the facility. John has classes to attend." Both boys frowned at the voice on the PA system. "I guess I'll see you next week," John said sadly as he slowly began floating past Naruto. "No, John is having classes with me right now. I'm teaching him how to play ball," Naruto said with a cheeky smile. "Boys don't let me come down there." "And do what, old man?" Naruto asked blankly. The blonde shook his head at the silence before turning back to his brother. "Okay, kid, how about a game of tag?" "Yay, you're it!" John cheered as he took to the skies. Naruto looked up at the blur that was his brother before he took off after. The blonde cut through the skies and would easily caught up to his brother, but he wanted the game to last longer. A large plane passed near them, and both blondes waved at the passengers that looked at them in shock. "I'm gonna get you!" Naruto laughed, and despite the large plane flying by, John heard him loud and clear. "Yeah, right." John laughed before he flew off with a shockwave. 6 years later. An asteroid the size of Texas is set to impact the Earth in less than a few hours. We've been covering this news for the past week as the Rock of Doom slowly approached. Right now, the world is praying for a miracle as to how we're going to survive this. People in Florida have formed a group and are going to shoot the asteroid out of the sky. Dana Moss reported. "Right now, we are going to live footage of..." "What's this? It seems something is happening." Footage cut to space, where a blonde man floated just a few inches from the giant state-sized rock. He casually held out his hand, and the rock stopped moving. He then swatted his hand away, and the asteroid was sent flying. "Well, that just happened," the reporter said with wide eyes. "That's enough of that," Jonah Vogelbaum said as he turned off the TV. "Focus on your studies." "But I just finished studying," John yelled in annoyance. Naruto said, "I can watch at least 2 hours of TV. And that was the news. Isn't it like studies still?" "I don't care what he says. Go back to your studies, now," Jonah said as John glared at him. "No," the 16-year-old John said, "I'm done for today." The blonde teen got off his seat as the older man frowned. "Get back, or what?" John turned to the scientist, eyes glowing red. The Jonah took a step back as John smirked. "Yeah, that's what I thought." Stan Edgar cleared his throat as he smiled at the flashing cameras. "Welcome," he spoke as the many microphones carried his voice to the thousands of people in attendance. and the billions of people watching on their TVs, laptops, phones, and listening on their radios. Today, Vought would like to introduce you to our latest and frankly most powerful hero to ever exist. Long ago, a primordial entity had visited our planet to learn more about us. Here, he fell in love with a human woman who gave birth to 2 children. One of them is the man that stopped the asteroid and our newest hero, the Sentry. In a flash of red, a man appeared next to Stan Edger. He was dressed in a full dark blue bodysuit. A large diamond-shaped symbol with an S was on his chest, and a bright red cape was clasped in his shoulders. He was tall, with bright blonde hair and brighter blue eyes, a boyish smile on his face as he shook hands with the CEO of Vought International. Stan Edger said something that wasn't picked up by the mic before he stepped back as the Sentry took center stage. "Hello, everyone," Sentry said as the crowd burst into cheers. "I'm glad everyone is happy. I just want to say that I'll do everything in my power to make this world safe from harm." With that, Sentry took a step to the side and floated off the stage and flew over the thousands of screaming fans. He gave a small wave before he took to the skies, leaving behind a small gust of wind. "Quick, let's do this nice and fast," a masked man said as he reloaded his gun. "We don't want any fucking soups coming for us." The man fired his gun at the police that were hiding behind their car doors. "It's a smooth job. I got you guys covered," another man said as he began taking his shirt off. The dark-skinned man casually threw his shirt away as he walked towards the cops. "Just hurry it up. Fighting a soup is very irritating." "Stop or we will fire." "Shut up, pigs, you always fire." Clay-like armor formed around the man as he grew a few feet in height. Covered head and toe in this armor, he casually walked forward as the police fired at him. Their bullets fired bounced off his chest. "Shit, it's a soup." One cup yelled in fear as the villain smirked. "That's right, pigs. Run." The villain Clayface smirked. It was easy job, really. Help a bunch of goons rob a bank while he played bodyguard. "Well, that's not very nice," a voice said as Clayface looked up to see the new hero Sentry looking down on him with folded arms. "Why don't you make things easy for us and just power down? Why don't you come down here so I can beat your ass?" Clayface said as Sentry sighed. "I'd like to see you try," Sentry said with a smile. "Shit, it's a cape." Clayface's bosses came out of the bank with large bags filled with cash. "Shoot it and let's go." The idiots fired, and the bullets bounced of Sentry. "Don't you guys watch the news? Didn't you see me fly up to space and take care of the asteroid?" Sentry said with a cocky smile. "Give up now." "Hey, Clayface, this is the part where you do your job and beat his ass." "That's enough of that." One of the goons was suddenly punched in the cheek by another Sentry. "Wait, there's 2 of yous!" Another goon yelled as the first Sentry sped down and grabbed Clayface by the head. Clayface grunted as he felt Sentry's inhuman grip tighten. "I told you to stop, but you didn't listen. You never listen," the blonde said before he tossed Clayface into the air and followed up with a flying uppercut that sent Clayface to the sky. The villain's eyes widened at the blue sky and white fluffy clouds before Sentry appeared before him and punched him again. Clayface was sent further and his eyes widened as he saw Sentry ahead. The blonde hero was smiling and gave a small wave before delivering a powerful haymaker that sent Clayface to the ground. Sentry flew down and grabbed him before he could fall in the cop car. "Well, that takes care of that," Sentry smiled as he floated down. "And this takes care of that," another Sentry said. In each hand he held an unconscious thug. "Officers, I believe these are yours." Hank you sentries?" The confused policeman asked only for the Sentry holding the 2 thugs to vanish in a poof of white, thick smoke. "There's only one of me, officers," the Sentry holding the villain said with a bright smile. "The 7! 7 of the best soups coming together to form the best superhero team." Since Payback, Madeline Stillwell grinned as she gestured to a large screen. On it were several brightly colored individuals. Naruto, who dressed in his Sentry outfit, just stared with disinterest. "Okay, we have Homelander, brother to the almighty Sentry." Madeline smiled, but her smile faltered at the disinterest in Sentry's eyes. Next, we have Black Noir. "I approve," Sentry said with a wave. "I've seen what he can do, next PLS. Well, I'm glad you like him," Madeline said. "Next up, we have the Deep, the man that can breathe underwater and communicate with aquatic life." "Next," Sentry said with a bored sigh. It was very clear that the hero did not want to be here. "Well, we have Mr. Marathon, the world's fastest man," Madeline said as Sentry perked up. "He looks a bit old," Sentry said with a frown. "Are we sure he won't have a heart attack or something? We've run some tests. See what I did there with the whole run? Never mind, he's been given a clean bill of health." Next up, we have Lamplighter, the Human Torch. He has the ability to control fire. That's hot, the blonde hero said blankly. See what I did there? And finally we have Queen Maeve, the warrior empress of the other world. She is as beautiful as she is strong, Madeline said as Sentry leaned forward in interest. John told me about this one, Sentry said as he rubbed his chin. They're in the hero collage together, right? Actually, they graduated from Godolkin Hero University with flying colors, Madeline said with a wide smile. Well, that's it then, Sentry said as he got up. I have to go do hero shit now. The blonde then vanished in a res blur. Well, that went well, Madeline said with a sigh. Being in front of Sentry was genuinely terrifying. She was good at reading people and Sentry was unreadable, except when he was irritated. Her plans to manipulate him have failed so far, and she had a feeling he knew what she was doing. So Madeline moved on to the next best thing, his impressionable younger brother. That one she had wrapped around her finger. Just relax, Maeve. Queen Maeve blinked and turned to her friend Homelander. I'm relaxed, she hissed, as he laughed obnoxiously. Of course you are, Homelander said with a smirk. This team is going to be the greatest superhero team since Payback. Of course it is, she agreed with him 100%. After all, it had Homelander, herself, and him. Just the three of them made this team the greatest. After the announcement of the brand new superhero team called the Seven, the members of the Seven had been brought to Vought Tower. Here, a party was in full swing with a large table of expensive food and booze. Look at them, Homelander said as he gestured to the four people at the other side of the room. They're just happy to be here, lucky to be on the team. While some of us earned our spot, we're better than them. Not how Maeve would put it, but for the most part he was right. Oh, heads up, Homelander said with a grin as he held out his hand and a fucking baseball came in through a conveniently opened window. It came in with such force and a fucking shockwave that blew away the table of food and drink. It smacked the palm of Homelander's raised hand, and even that made a shockwave that sent everyone in the room stumbling back. Except her and Homelander, of course. Damn, he threw that all the way from Africa. Maeve blinked at that. Who did? She asked. I did. Her eyes widened as the figure of Sentry casually walked in through the door. So you guys are my teammates, huh? The blonde hero had a frown on his face as he stared at the four heroes who were picking themselves off the ground. His brilliant blue. Eyes then turned to her and Maeve silently gasped. Sentry was her hero. She had posters of him in her room back in uni. She fingered herself to that leaked picture of when his outfit was burnt off after he caught a solar flare. It was safe to say Maeve had a huge crush on Sentry, and to see him smile at her like that. Nice throw, bro, Homelander said with a chuckle as he showed the red-hot ball to Sentry before tossing it back. You're welcome, Sentry said with a chuckle. You must be Queen Maeve. Yes, sir, it's nice to finally meet you. Maeve hated how her voice cracked. She held out her hand as he took it in his own. I hope we can work well together. Same here, Sentry said before letting go of her hand, turning to face everyone. Everyone gathered, I humbly welcome you all to the Seven. May we all work together and have a great time while we're at it. Should I tell him that you have posters of him all over the wall of your room? Homelander whispered as she froze. You wouldn't dare. She narrowed her eyes as he smirked smugly at her. Try me. Fine, what do you want? She asked with folded arms. Hook me up with that friend of yours. Crusher Girl, was it? All I remember is that she has big tits. Homelander said as she frowned. Crusher Girl is retiring soon because she had an unexpected pregnancy. Are you sure you want that? Maeve asked with a raised eyebrow. You let me worry about that, so can you hook me up? Sure, but you gotta hook me up with Sentry, she said with a smile as he grimaced. My brother and best friend fucking? I don't want to see that. I'll add in any other woman I know who's lactating. Deal, Homelander said instantly. The two looked at each other before shaking hands. Well, I got the better part of this deal. What makes you say tat? Considering if things worked out, she was going to fuck Sentry. If anyone had the better end, it was her. Oh, he asked about you, Homelander said nonchalantly. Said something about you being his type. He's into lesbian porn and he doesn't even know you're bi. You and him would probably be bumping uglies by the end of the night. I just sweetened the deal to benefit me. You asshole, she hissed lowly. So you're saying my crush asked about me and you didn't tell me about it? Hey, Sentry, I was hoping we could take a selfie. The Deep asked nervously, phone in hand. Sure thing, Sentry said with his lucky smile. For real? Thanks, the Deep said as quickly stood next to the blonde hero and held up his phone. Say 7. All right, Maeve, now's your chance, Homelander said as he grabbed her by the arm. What? She asked dumbly. He hates stuff like that, so all you have to do is ask him to show you around. Homelander said he casually threw at Sentry. Oops, Butterfingers. Maeve let out a startled yelp as she crashed into Sentry. The blonde hero had managed to move the deep and was able to catch her in time. He really was amazing. "Wow, careful there, Queen Maeve," he said with a smile. "Sorry about that." She quickly apologized before clearing her throat. "I was hoping you could show me around the building." "I'd be happy to." Maeve stared at the night sky with a small smile on her face. Sentry had led her to his secret spot, which was a balcony on the top floor of Vought Tower. The view of New York from up here was breathtaking. "It's beautiful," Maeve said as she marveled at the lights of the city that never sleeps. "Yeah, she is." Maeve glanced at Sentry, and he was looking at her when he said that, trying hard to fight down the atomic blush she could feel blossoming from her face. So this where you bring all the pretty girls?" "Huh?" she said as he chuckled. "Just the ones I like. I call this place Makeout Point," he said with his goddamn charming smile. He was totally flirting with her. "Oh? So I'm just one of the many poor girls you bring up here?" Maeve said as she gave a smirk. "So what do you do after?" Sentry leaned in, blue eyes staring right into Maeve's soul. "Well, it's called Makeout Point. I think the next part is us making out," he said, as Maeve blushed. Wow, the balls on this guy. "Do you want to make out, Queen Maeve?" "That is a cheesy line right there," Maeve said as she slowly leaned in. With a face like that, Sentry could use any dumb line on a woman, and she'd gladly drop her panties. "Plenty more of where that came from," Sentry chuckled. The two were now extremely close, and Maeve could practically hear her heart beating. "But maybe next time, right now we're at Makeout Point, so it's time for some making out." "I thought you said next time with the cheesy lines," Maeve whispered as Sentry brought up his hands and gently cupped her cheeks. He leaned in and pressed a gentle kiss on her lips. As he pulled back, Maeve could only stare at him with wide eyes for giving her the best kiss she had ever experienced. I thought you said it was Makeout Point, not closed mouth kiss point." Sentry looked at her for a moment before he dived in for a much more fierce kiss. Maeve gladly opened her mouth and let his tongue slither its way in. Holy shit, her crush was kissing her. Could this night get any better? "Stop what?" he asked with a smirk. "No, this is so weird." Maeve or Maggie moaned out. Well, it was weird considering he had Maeve lay flat on her back on the large table in the conference room. She was fully nude, her delicious, beautiful body on display for Naruto to see. What made things weird for Maggie was that her large breasts were covered in hot syrup and her crotch was hidden under a mountain of whipped cream. "You can tell me to stop any time you want," Naruto said, as he poured hot, thick chocolate on her beautiful arbs. Considering he had just melted it with his heat vision, any normal woman would have been screaming at the heat, but not Maeve. "Just relax, my queen." He leaned down and licked her arbs, loving how she moaned. "No, don't lick me there." Maggie squealed as Naruto laughed. For someone so tough, she was really under the palm of his hand. "Why not?" "I love your body," Naruto said as he licked more of the chocolate off her. "It's so fucking delicious." "Knew you're so weird." Maggie's body was shaking slightly. The blonde licked some of the chocolate, kept it on his tongue, and quickly went up to her lips and kissed her. Maggie kissed him back eagerly, her tongue going into his mouth and stealing the chocolate from it. "Oh, fuck yeah. I'm going for some cream," Naruto said as he wiped his mouth. Maeve was such a sloppy kisser, but he seemed to like it. "No, don't tease me so much," she groaned. "Just fuck me already." "All in good time, my queen," Naruto said as I went to her crotch. Her legs seemed to spread on instinct, parting the heap of whipped cream. He grabbed her hips and pulled her in until she was at the edge. Maggie squealed cutely. He leaned in instantly, his tongue licking up the mixture of her arousal and the sweet cream. "Oh, fuck yeah. Right there, baby," Maggie moaned. Her moaning turned to screaming when he went absolutely sicko mode on her pussy. Her cunt was absolutely drooling at this point, but it just made things even better. Maggie's hand went through his hair as he ate her out, her moans of more fueling him, and within minutes the cream was gone. Her clean-shaven pussy was now in view, and it looked beautiful. Giving it a lick, Naruto stood up and took in a breath. He was completely nude, showing off his perfect body. "You ready?" he asked as he looked down at Maeve. The blonde bit her lip and nodded. Naruto grabbed his hard dick and jerked it a bit, loving the way Maeve looked up at him. He rubbed his dick against her cunt, loving how she shuddered. "Stop teasing me, and just put it in." Maeve commanded, and Naruto did, as the queen ordered, loving how she gasped beautifully. "Oh fuck, it's so big. Damn it, Naruto, fuck me," Maggie growled as she wrapped her legs around him. "With pleasure." Naruto smirked as he put some strength into my thrusts. She gasped and sat up. Her arms wrapped around his neck as she brought him in for a hot kiss. He lifted her off the large table and Maggie bounced on his dick like no tomorrow. "Fuck me, you bastard. Fuck me like you mean it," she screamed as he fucked her. Her cunt felt amazing, so amazing in fact it had him floating. "Shit, I'm coming. I'm fucking coming." "Shit," he hissed as her pussy tightened around his cock. It was like the damn super pussy wanted to milk him dry, and it worked. "Fuck, I'm coming." Maeve came and Sentry came with her. She held on for dear life, and by God, her grip tightened to the point it made Sentry grunt. They both groaned as Naruto floated them back down on the table. That was amazing," Maggie said with a happy smile. "I know, right," Naruto said with a chuckle, the two laying on the large conference table that was shaped in the logo of the new 7. A V and 7 combined. V7. "So what now?" Maggie asked as she turned on her side and looked at Naruto. "Was I just one of the many girls you bring at make-out point and have sex with?" Naruto turned to look at Maggie with a raised eyebrow. "This building is new, and we all just moved here," he said. "There's no such thing as make-out point. Plus, I did tell you my name." "So you're serious about this? About us?" Maggie asked nervously. Even if Sentry said it was just for sex, Maeve would understand. She'd be sad for a couple months, but then she'd move on. "Yes, I want to get to know you better," Naruto said as Maggie got up and straddled him. She then leaned down and kissed him. Soon the two were back to fucking with Maeve riding Sentry like a rodeo bull until the table gave in. "Hey John, what the fuck?" Naruto opened the door to his brother's new apartment in Vought Tower, and what he saw left him speechless. "What do you think?" John, dressed in his Homelander suit, asked as he spread his arms out. "Pretty cool, right?" Naruto looked around the apartment in disgust. "I know you're the Homelander and everything, but damn," the blonde said as he looked at the American-themed apartment. "Who the fuck has a giant painting of themselves with the American flag flying in the background?" "Me?" John asked with a raised eyebrow. "You're just jealous you didn't think of it first." Naruto just gave him a blank look before he shook his head. "I'm thirsty. Where's the fridge?" Naruto asked as he floated over to what looked like a kitchen. "Wait, don't go there." John blitzed forward in a burst of super speed, moving past his frozen brother as he sped over to his fridge, only for him to suddenly stop, his arm stretched out and his fingers a few inches away from the handle of the fridge. "I don't get why you even try sometimes," Naruto said with a sigh. He was holding up his brother by the collar. Said brother was still trying to take a grab at the fridge. "I'm 1,000,000,000 times faster than you." As if to prove his point, Naruto causally threw his brother over his shoulder like one would a paper bag. "Okay, let's see what you're hiding in." Naruto opened the large fridge and froze at the sight of dozens of tiny plastic bottles filled with "Did you come in bottles and store it in the fridge?" John, who had stopped himself midair, scoffed. "Of course not. I'm not a degenerate," John defended. "It's milk." "Oh," Naruto said as he picked out a bottle that had a name written on the front in marker. The blonde opened it and brought it to his mouth. "Oh, by the way, it's breast milk." Naruto's eyes widened before he threw the bottle as hard as he could. The resounding boom of the sound barrier breaking sent every piece of furniture flying, while the thrown bottle of milk made a large hole where a window was supposed to be. "Dude, I just finished unpacking. What the fuck?" John yelled out. "I can't believe this." Naruto shook his head as he pinched the bridge of his nose. "Where did you even get that much breast milk anyway?" "Don't ask questions you don't want answers to," John replied as he floated over to his brother. "Besides, you can't judge me if you like feet. For the last time I didn't lick her foot, I was licking the high heels. I like to fuck mature women in high heels. That is perfectly normal." Naruto yelled as John rolled his eyes. "Oh, fuck you. You make pregnant women get on a table while you milk them into your bottles." "Seriously? You actually do that?" Naruto stared at his brother for a second before sighing. "She's definitely a keeper. Gonna go on a few dates and see what happens," the older blonde said as his brother smiled. "Or good for you," John said as he floated over to his couch and sat down with a sigh. "What's wrong?" Naruto asked as he floated over. "What if the 7 fails? I mean, look at Payback, the best damn superhero team that ever lived, and look at them now. Look where they are now," John yelled as Naruto rubbed his chin in thought. "Honestly, I can only think of Black Noir. I don't even remember the others," Naruto said with a shrug. "Fuck those bums. The 7 has you and me. The Homelander and Sentry, the greatest superheroes who ever lived." "What? But I was trying to cheer you up, you breast-loving whore." "Really, bringing up my fetish in an argument is cheap and shows you lack the brain cells to think of something," John said with a smirk. "Do you want me to punch you to the moon? I've done it before, and I can do it again." Now, I was just joking. "Hey there, I'm Sentry, leader of the 7 and savior of the world. Flying around the world and at the speed of light really leaves me thirsty and a bit tired. Thankfully, I have Cape, my very own brand of energy drink. It helps put some pep in your step and gives you that go. Plus, Sentry took a sip from the blue and red can. It tastes pretty damn good. And cut. Fucking hell, that tastes like shit, Sentry yelled as he crashed the can into dust. Who approved this shit? Stan Edger, someone in the background yelled. Whatever, as long as I don't need to drink any more of it, Sentry said, with a relieved sigh as a woman with a makeup kit came up to him and began applying some on his face. Okay, Sentry, that last take was a bit shaky. Can we get another one out of you? Director asked as, and before Sentry could say anything, a can of Cape was placed in his hand. Okay, people places. Let's do a few more takes. Sentry could only sigh before forcing a smile. 2 hours later, okay, Sentry, that was great, but we need you to do one more take with your brand new energy drink. It's specifically targeted for adult males who need a little help, if you know what I mean, the fat director said as he grinned. Sentry was handed a script and a can of Uppy. Up. Seriously? The blonde asked as stared at the can that had a picture of him flexing his muscles. Sentry turned the can around and read the ingredients. Wait, most of the ingredients in this are the same stuff you find in Viagra. Yes, hence the name. Now give us a smile and read the catchphrase, please. The director of the commercial yelled out. Okay, take one Uppy up in action. Sentry turned to the camera and gave it a smile. Hey, I'm Sentry. Do you know what I do when I can't just get up? I go to my fridge or the VOD online store and I get a can of Uppy Ups. Sentry said as opened the can and took a fake sip. Uppy Ups gets me out of the downy downs. That was great, Sentry, so let's do one more. This time we have a drink called Bust and Go. So you're the senior director of digital marketing here at VOD International, right? Rebecca Butcher nodded nervously as she stood in her boss's office. Madeline Stillwell was bitch that everyone feared. One fuck up and you're gone. Stillwell stared at her for a moment before she smiled. Congratulations, you've been promoted. You are now in charge of Sentry. Everything from contracts to PR, your job from now on is to do the best you can to make Sentry look good. Stillwell said as Rebecca's eyes widened in shock. Plus the pay is great. I don't know what to say, Rebecca said as she looked down. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and while that's a good thing, it did come out of nowhere. Why her? I've been watching you, and I think you would make a great successor. Now go get your stuff and take it to your new office. Your new job started yesterday. Stillwell barked as Rebecca quickly nodded, a smile on her face at the well-deserved opportunity. I won't let you down, Rebecca said before she quickly walked out of the office. I'm sure you'll do just fine. Rebecca missed the smirks on Stillwell's face as she left. 10 minutes later, Rebecca found out the real reason why she was given this promotion. So someone had fucked up and Sentry wasn't happy, judging by the way the building was slightly shaking. She knew enough about Sentry to know that the building shaking was caused by him. He only did that when he was pissed, and that rarely ever happened. Taking in a breath, Rebecca made her way over to the Sevens meeting room, braced herself, and opened the door. And there he was. Sentry sat calmly at the head of the large table, blue eyes staring into her very soul as she made her way towards him. Now, Rebecca had seen him passing by and on pictures, but seeing up close and personal, those heavy filtered pictures online did not do him justice. The man was handsome. Even though his face was blank, it still didn't distract from how gorgeous this man was. So you're in charge of my contracts? Sentry asked. Rebecca quickly nodded. Do you realize I had to do more than 100 takes because this fat fuck thought himself the next Kubrick? Not only that, but they had me taste this awful shit they tried to pass off as drinks. I'm really sorry, sir, Rebecca said nervously as she gave a shaky smile. I'll make sure this never happens again. Sentry seemed to stare for a moment before he sighed. This is your first day on the job, isn't it? He said as he pinched the bridge of his nose. Yes, sir, Rebecca nodded. I'm willing to bet Stillwell gave you this job after finding out I was pissed, didn't she? He said as Rebecca nodded again. Damn bitch, he muttered. I guess we're stuck together, huh? What a hell of a meeting. Yeah, Rebecca nervously rubbed her arm. Sentry seemed to calm down, but let's just start over. I completely made an ass of myself, he said as he got up and approached her. Hi, I'm Sentry. Pleasure to meet you. Our pleasure is all mine. I'm Rebecca Butcher. She held out her hand nervously as he shook it. So, take a seat so we can go through my contracts and what steps we can take to make sure today never happens again, he said as he pulled up the chair next to his and offered it to her. I think it's a good start, Rebecca said with a smile, no longer as nervous as she was before. The two would end up spending the night getting to know each other better while going through Sentry's contracts and making it he only did 2 takes per shooting. We're going after China, Madeline Stillwell said, her fake smile ever present. An untouched market worth millions of dollars. I like it, Homelander said with a grin. We should go for it. Currently, 4 people were gathered in the Seven's meeting room. Madeline, Stillwell, and Homelander sat at the other side of the large conference table while Rebecca and Sentry were at the head. The heroes were seated while their respective PR managers stood at their right hands. Becca, what do you think? Sentry asked. Well, China is too hot to touch, one misshapen, and we blow it big time. I suggest they come to us rather than us going to them, Rebecca said with a smile. The past few days have been going great for her. Turns out, despite Sentry being the most powerful being on the planet, he was a funny and charming guy. He didn't yell, always cracking jokes and being nice to her. Well, I'm out, Sentry said as he leaned back in his chair. China has been untouchable for years. They need us over there. You and I can make this work, Homelander said as Sentry shook his head. Becca says no, so it's a no for me. Now drop this and move on to something else, Sentry said, as the Homelander frowned. Fine, the hero grumbled. I'll do it myself. Madeline cleared her throat before smiling. Well, we'll leave you two to discuss your hero stuff, Rebecca. Why don't we go have lunch together? She said, and despite Rebecca standing next to the strongest man on earth, she felt frightened. Okay, ma'am, she nodded before following the older woman. The two walked the halls of Vought Tower in silence as Madeline stomped her way towards the elevator with Becca silently following behind her. 2 entered the elevator, and that was the most tense elevator ride Becca had ever been in. Madeline Stillwell was not happy, and they both knew. So why wasn't the normally talkative woman saying anything? The elevators opened, and Madeline led Becca to her office. Madeline even let Becca in first, but as soon as those doors were closed, "You stupid bitch!" Before Becca could reply, she was suddenly slapped across the face. "Don't you ever and mean ever embarrass me like that again. You agree with everything I put on the table, you nothing but eye candy and a distraction to keep fucking Sentry off my back." "I'm sorry, Becca whimpered as she held her face as tears built up in her eyes. "It won't happen again." "No, it won't," Madeline growled. "Because you're fur." "No, she's not." In the blink of an eye, Sentry was standing next to Madeline. "Sentry, Stillwell took a nervous step back. "We were just talking when—" "Why even bother?" Sentry said with a sigh. "I can hear a damn fly flapping its wings in Africa. You think I can't hear you?" "Sentry, you have to understand that. From now on, you will leave Becca alone. You will only come near her when you have to. Try and pull this shit again, and no one will find. Your body on Mars," Sentry said, eyes glowing red as Stillwell nodded with a frightful whimper. "Good." Becca stared completely dumbfounded, letting out a yelp when Sentry literally swept her off her feet and into a bridal carry. Becca found it weird someone so powerful felt so warm and soft. No, he just felt normal. She thought cuddling him would be like doing it with a Terminator or something, or all hard muscles of steel. Becca snuggled closer into him as he walked out of Stillwell's office. "I'm sorry about her," Sentry said as he walked over to an elevator. "She's such a bitch." "No, it's not your fault," she said as he stepped onto the elevator. He somehow managed to press a button and the elevator began going up. "Maybe I should quit. It'll make things easy for everyone." "I promise Stillwell won't hurt you. I will make sure of IAT," Sentry said as Becca leaned into his chest. Hearing his steady heartbeat brought her a comfort she desperately needed. "Plus, you can't quit even if you wanted to because you know my secret." Becca blinked. "Wait, what secret?" "Naruto, my name is Naruto," the now named Naruto said as Becca gasped. Is that even allowed?" Becca asked as she felt him shrug. "Don't know, but either way you're mine now, ha. There was a ding and the elevator doors opened. "Guess I'm stuck with you. You say it like it's a bad thing." Sentry or Naruto stepped out of the elevator and over to— Wait, wasn't that his apartment? No one had ever been there. Everyone just guessed what was inside. The automatic doors opened up as Sentry led her into what people online called the Fortress of Solitude. One word to describe the fortress: futuristic. Where there should have been a large flat screen was a large bluish hologram playing a Homelander cartoon. A large white circular couch. A large slab of redstone acting as a table. All around them tiny metal orbs floated around. "What? How?" she couldn't help but ask as she looked around. "I'll tell you in a few," Naruto said as he put her on what had to be the most comfortable couch she had ever sat on. "Bring us a couple of drinks, please." One of the metal orbs stopped moving before it turned zoomed towards the kitchen. Naruto took a seat next to her. "So you have questions?" Becca nodded. "Fire away," he said. "What is all this?" Becca asked as she gestured around them. As if on key, the tiny robot floated in with a tray. On it were a bottle of wine and 2 wine glasses. "Thanks, buddy," Naruto said as he grabbed 2 wine and glasses. The robot floated away as he turned to her, poured her a glass, and handed it over to her. I was flying through space one day and I found aliens. Thankfully, these guys were friendly, so I learned a few things from them. Their technology is something out of this world, far ahead of ours. Now, I haven't yet told anyone because humanity isn't yet ready. I'm afraid they might just use this technology to destroy themselves. So I'm just going to wait for a bit and see what happens. Wow, aliens. I mean, I know your father is this primordial entity and stuff, but aliens, Becca exclaimed as Naruto laughed. Okay, what's up with that table? It's just a rock from Mars, Naruto said nonchalantly. The two would then talk for a while, with Becca finishing almost 2 bottles of wine, her face red with a blush, and Sentry leaned in and kissed her on the lips. Now, Becca was married to a loving husband, and she should probably stop this, but her tiny crush on Sentry, combined with him standing up for her, telling her his real name and the wine. God, the wine was so good, as Becca opened her mouth and let his tongue in. Naruto easily lifted her off the couch and placed her on his lap, where Becca proceeded to straddle him proper. Her arms wrapped around his neck as his hands went to her hips. Did you manage? Is that even a question? Naruto asked, as floated over to his brother. The two were currently at the peak of Mount Everest, both out of their costumes and in plain clothes that followed with the heavy cold winds. The two super beings didn't even register the cold. Finally out of that costume, "Fuck you, some of us actually love our super suits," Homelander yelled as he looked down at the white t-shirt that had his face on it and the blue jeans and shoes he wore. Sentry also wore the same thing, funny enough. "Yeah, but Vought has those things bugged. I don't want them listening in on us," Naruto said as John frowned. "What's this about? It'd been getting a bit boring, don't you think? Most of the villains have been put down or don't want to do it anymore. All we do now is film commercials and taking pictures with the normals," Naruto said as he held out his hand and a bottle full of blue liquid appeared in it. "Personally, I like it," John said with a shrug. "I'm America's hero. You really love this shitty country, don't you? What can I say? My cells don't have DNA, they have USA. That's the stupidest thing I have ever heard, and if you ever say it to me again, I will punch you to the moon," Naruto said blankly. "Now, let's give the scum of the earth a some V, also known as blood of the goods, and see what they do." "Wait, you want to make actual supervillains? Not the actors we always fight? No, I want something fun and exciting. And if I don't have my fun, I will destroy this dirt ball we call a planet," Naruto said with red glowing eyes, only for his brother to give him a blank stare. Is this because Vought wants to cast a fat black trans lesbo as Sentry in the upcoming Sentry Origins movie? Maybe, Naruto mumbled as John burst out laughing. "While you're stuck wanting America, I'm thinking big." Stillwell blinked and suddenly found herself in a different place than she was a second ago. "What? You think you can touch what's mine and get away with it, you stupid bitch?" Sentry stood before her, red eyes glowing as he took a step forward. "I'm sorry I overstepped. It won't happen again," Madeline pleaded desperately. "Please, I can make it up to you." "Oh," Sentry asked, a smirk on his face. "Get down on your knees and make it up to me." Of course," Madeline quickly took off her heels and got down on her knees. "What now?" Sentry's costume seemed to slowly peel off his form like a blue liquid, leaving him naked. The suit moved forward and put his already hard cock on top of her face. "You may think you're tough shit, Madeline, but you're not. You just my cum dump. Now open wide for daddy." Madeline opened her mouth as Sentry Ruff shoved his cock into her mouth and down her throat, one hand grabbing a fistful of her blonde hair before he then proceeded to face fuck her. Even when her teeth grazed him, she could tell he didn't feel it. All Madeline could do was brace herself and endure the rape. Gack, gack, gack. And as tears flowed down her eyes, Madeline planned her revenge. She would turn Homelander against this bastard, have the Sentry die by his beloved little brother's hand. Madeline sudden began choking as Sentry buried his dick down her throat while his free hand pinched her nose. "That glare just turns me on," Sentry smirked as he pulled back, his now wet dick coming out of her mouth as Madeline coughed and tried to take in air. "All right, get on the bed. I'm gonna fuck you now." Madeline slowly stood up as she went to unbutton her shirt. "Leave it on. I want to fuck you while you look like a bitchy CEO." Madeline walked over to the bed as Sentry grabbed her, bend her over. He pulled her. Short skirt up over her hips, showing her panties. His hand grabbed them and pulled them down. His hand going to her cunt and wrought shoving in 2 fingers, making her wince in pain. "Dry as the A-desert down here," Sentry said before shrugging. "Oh well, not my problem."
Thanks for sticking around till the end. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss out on any future content. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care and stay awesome.